Hello Year 9. Welcome to our resource on evaluating sources, including their reliability, usefulness and perspective. Let's work through together. The first step is to choose a source to evaluate. Read through the source types and find a source for yourself. They may include photographs, newspapers, journal entries, posters, propaganda, interviews, poems, novels, music, government documents, biographies, plays, letters, videos, or statistics. This is the source I've chosen. Just pause the video for a few minutes to read the source. It could even be useful for you in your assessment, so have a good read. Wonderful. Let's begin the evaluation process. Do you remember from our previous lessons the things we look for or questions we ask to evaluate a source? They are origin, when, where, by whom, and for whom it was made. Next we have purpose, why a source was produced, was it to inform or was it to persuade? And finally we have context, the time, year, or historical period, and the place, the geographical area, whether it was during a revolution or a historical event. Make sure to write your evaluation in your book or note it on the source. Here is my example evaluation. The origin, the author, is Ottobah Cugoano, written in 1787 and in London, which means it's a primary source. Its purpose is to fight against slavery by revealing the horrific experiences he and many others had in slavery. And the context is that Cugoano wrote this in his thoughts and sentiments on the evil and wicked traffic of the slavery and the commerce of the human species during his fight against slavery. He was a former slave living in England in that late 18th century when slavery was very prevalent. Have a read. Does your evaluation look similar? If so, you're on the right track. After we complete our initial evaluation, we will begin to evaluate based on a source's reliability. We need to ask, is it a first-hand account of the time? Is the information recorded logical, and is it reinforced by other sources? Does the source contain discrepancies? And is it written by a trustworthy author, someone with credentials or who was present at the time of the event? Make sure you record your answers in your book. My example is coming soon. Here is my example. Notice that I've used full sentences and succinctly answered each question. Pause the video to have a good read. To question 1, I said that this is a first-hand account by a former slave written in the 1700s. To question 2, I said that the information provided corroborates with other sources written in the time and is logical. To question 3, I said that the source doesn't contain any discrepancies to other evidence recorded in the time. It does include interesting information about slaves being sold within Africa, as well as being taken to the West Indies. And for question 4, I said that the author was present at the time of the events he is describing, and he wrote often for English newspapers, which could add to his trustworthiness. Next step is to evaluate based on a source's perspective. Perspective is always important when evaluating a source. It's the point of view that the author of the source wrote from. It is important because every person understands events differently, depending on their age, gender, social position, beliefs, and values. Let's have a look at my example, and then you can have a go yourself. Here you can see in my example that I have included a quote from the source to prove my point about the author's perspective. I have responded by saying, Ottobah Cugoano believed that slavery should be outlawed due to the dehumanization of people. Quoted, there is no just and warrantable matter for any society of men to hold slaves. Now it's your turn. Great job getting this far. Lastly, let's evaluate our source based on its usefulness to us. Here are the questions to ask. Does this source help you to understand your topic? And does it support your argument? Here is my example. To question 1, I said this source helps me understand more about slavery in the 18th century and provides a first-hand account to the experiences of slavery, as well as the hard work people took to have it abolished. I did not have a response to the second question as I'm not using a key research question. However, I did say that if you had a question to prove here, you would respond to that. Have a read and then have a go yourself. On the next slide, I've compiled my entire evaluation into one paragraph. Let's have a look and then you can do it as well. Pause the video here to read my full evaluation. Now, great job. Have a go yourself and put together a great source evaluation. I look forward to reading your evaluations.